Hi everyone, welcome to this live. It's been a while that I've hosted the live. I'm really happy to be back. I see that already some people have joined. Welcome. If you're watching the replay, welcome. Today we're going to talk about the anxious avoidant trap, anxious avoidant cycle, however you want to like it. It's usually not something very pleasant when you date an avoidant. I'm going to share with you a story about someone avoidant, not my story, kind of a funny story. We're going to discuss about how practically you can step away, you can break this cycle of anxious avoidance. Perhaps you're dating someone avoidant, perhaps you broke up with someone avoidant, and you want to make sure that you're making the right decisions. You are rescuing the relationship that could be rescued, or maybe you need to figure out whether you should get back with this person or not. We're going to discuss this in this live. I will try to get some questions. Bear with me. I will try because I know a lot of people, sometimes they have a lot of questions and I can't answer every single question. If you ask me questions, please try to make them not too specific and really linked to the topic of today's live. If you have any very specific question to your case, feel free to send me an email or book a discovery call with me. I'd be more than happy to guide you. But on those calls, it's very hard for me to give precise answers, specifically if I need to know the whole background of the story, which I think you understand. So yeah, and also we're going to discuss about what you need to do if you have an anxious attachment style to navigate this space, to perhaps figure out whether perhaps you're attracted to the wrong people, perhaps the relationship you're in right now is not the right relationship for you. And it's true that sometimes we are confused. Sometimes we want to know what's best for us. We want to know, should I rescue this relationship? Should I get back with my partner? Should I move on? He says something, but he does something different. She means this, but in the end, she behaves in a different way. And so this is what we want to try to understand on this live. I'm going to start, as I said, explaining a story about someone avoidant, which gave me the idea of potentially next year interview a lot of people who are avoidant, because I know a lot of my community, a lot of people in my community want to know what's going on. How do you function? What's going on? What's the psychology here behind? Why do you behave this way? It doesn't make sense to me, and I want to know why. And so I was at a Christmas party last Friday. And of course, when I say my job, there's always someone who will tell me about a love story. And he recently broke up with his partner. And he told me, like, I'm an avoidant. I'm really scared of commitment. And he explained me his relationship where she had a kid. She has a kid. They would see each other regularly, but he told her, right from the start, I don't want to commit, etc. But they have an amazing relationship. They really connect. But the problem is that they kept on breaking up because anytime there was a tension, anytime there was an argument, he would disappear or she would disappear. And this time he was really upset. He was really crossed. It was the first time. And because she basically told him, she went no silence. She went no contact. And he was asking me like so many questions. I was like, why is she doing like this? Can I do something about that? I really like her, but I told her I've been upfront about her, like about commitment, etc. And so it made me realize that perhaps it's something you also need to hear. Is like, it's not because someone is avoidant that they can't have feelings. It's not because that someone is avoidant that can't feel the fear of missing out of the relationship. And in this context, which is very important, and I think this is the thing you need to remember, he was very self-aware that he had this fear of commitment. I didn't do a therapy session. It was a Christmas party. We had drinks, etc. That was not the place. But it's clear there was something preventing him from being happy, because he told me, like, I've always been like this. And I don't know his age, but I think he's like 35 or 40. So he knew there was a problem, but he didn't do anything about that. However, this breakup, and it's very fresh, so I don't know the whole dynamic, and I don't know whether this will apply in that dynamic, but that made him react. He started to figure out, hold on, because I sort of confronted him as like, okay, she wants more from you. She loves you, she wants to build something, and you don't. So you shouldn't be surprised that at some stage she will pull away and feel, I'd rather be silent, I'd rather block you. And in a way, I don't care if you suffer if I do that, because I'm protecting myself. And so you have to understand that in this avoidant anxious dynamic, or in any relationship, it's always about self-preservation. The problem is that our partner can be the collateral damage of that self-preservation, because that self-preservation is self-centered, right? And we feel, I need to, as an avoidant, I need to be on my own. I need to be alone. I need to, be away from you for a moment. And for an anxious person, that will be different drivers. And so for her, for instance, her ex, she would like, I don't want to be with this relationship where every time I make a move, you push me. Every time I do something, you push me. And I think the trigger was that they broke up and he made a joke about him dating a girl. It was a joke, but she didn't want to treat it as a joke. She didn't want to start having a conversation around that. And she automatically put back, and I think she blocked him. She actually blocked him. It's not the right way to deal with this situation, but that made him realize, hold on, what do I want? So just wanted to give you, and I think I will do interviews of people who have an avoidant attachment style, so you can also understand a little bit more and perhaps do more content on Instagram where you can understand more the psychology of people who have avoidant attachment style. So what you have to understand is when you date someone, and I'm writing a book not on necessarily specifically on attachment, but I've made a lot of research writing this book. And for every single relationship, you have this avoidant anxious dynamic. If two people are secure, they will always have a tendency to be a little bit more avoidant or a little bit more anxious. And when you fight, when you have an argument, when you disagree on things, you would trigger some part of the insecurities. Okay, one will always be the one wanting to confront, wanting to discuss, and the other one will be like, I don't want to deal with that. The massive difference between someone who is secure or someone who is insecure is their ability to go back to the secure base, to open up when they feel that they want to pull away, or to be silent and respect the boundaries. It's obviously about respecting boundaries. And so in the book Attached, the reason I'm writing a book not about attachment theory, because the book Attached is an amazing book, is a reference if you're interested in attachment style. I don't think I want to write a book of attachment, and I realized like I wouldn't add a lot of value on top of what I'm doing currently on YouTube. Read the book Attached. If you haven't, buy it. There's no affiliate program. In the book Attached, they describe really well this danger zone. Is the idea that whenever we are dating someone avoidant or someone anxious, or again, if it's two people who have secure attachment style, we can trigger the other one. And the thing is, when we start triggering someone who's avoidant, when we sort of cross the boundaries, when we ask something they can't give us, when we ask for a commitment, for example, that will trigger a response. The response, which is very childish driven, the response for an avoidant is like, I don't want to deal with that. Leave me alone. And when they do that, what happens is that the anxious people think, this is the fear of abandonment that I'm so scared of. This is the abandonment that I'm scared of. This is the thing that I'm running, that I'm trying to prevent at all costs. And it's happening again. And I don't want this to happen. Therefore, I'm going to connect more. And therefore, I'm going to put some pressure. What happens in the head of an avoidant? Oh, that's too much. And we are triggering that vicious circle, right? The thing is that, in a way, attraction works in a way that we always seek someone who's different. And so unconsciously, the avoidant partner and the anxious partner will always try to find people who would trigger this kind of cycle. It doesn't make sense, but that's how we are hardwired, because it reminds us there's an element of familiarity. I've done some videos on that, the element of familiarity when it comes to attraction. And so when it comes to dealing with this sort of dynamic, the starting point is with you. So the starting point is really about self-awareness. So you're watching my videos, you know tons about attachment theory. perhaps you have the book attached, or you're about to buy the book attached. Well done. It's really about understanding that that person who wants some space, that person who doesn't want to discuss this topic right now, who is scared of commitment, is not something against you. It's not because they don't love you. Because the thing is, if you don't understand that it's an unconscious mechanism, a coping mechanism, it's very easy to feel like that person doesn't appreciate me, that person doesn't respect me. And therefore, I need to cling, I need to prove them. Very often I hear people, some of my clients who have an anxious attachment style, who are being in that dynamic of, I need to prove that person my worth, because they are pulling away. And the reason they're pulling away is because I'm not showing them enough my value, or that our relationship matters. When you do like this, you completely fail to understand how your partner functions. So it's very important to be self-aware, to understand attachment theory, to understand your partner's trigger, and find the right place, the right time to discuss those things. So it starts with you. And I think, again and again, having helped a lot of people developing a secure attachment style, when you do that, if you have an anxious attachment style, it's also about raising your level of confidence. Because the reason you're also fueling, adding some fire to this cycle is because you fail unconsciously. But there's something that you need to work on, is that this person is pulling away because I deserve it. This person is pulling away because in a way I'm not good enough. Or sometimes you're in a relationship, or after a breakup, you're trying to recover a relationship that's not good for you because you assume that's the best I could get. It's the only person I could get. And so perhaps it's because it's based on difficult relationships in the past, perhaps some insecurities in your childhood, but in a way, you put yourself in situations where we discussed about boundaries before, where in a way, what do I need, what do I want, you forget this. And you put a high value on the relationship regardless of how that person treats you. So if you're in the context of post-breakup, in any case, whether you want to get back with your ex, whether you want to move on, whether you have no clue what you should be doing, it starts with, if you have an anxious attachment style, it starts with building a secure attachment. Because when you do, in a way, when you're changing the filter, when you're, in a way, taking that step back, detaching yourself, not from your partner, but detaching yourself from the story. Because sometimes we're very much attached to the story, to the meaning of the relationship. And we fail to recognize, like, hold on. That's why speaking with therapists is very helpful, because that person can tell you, hold on, what are you doing? Let me tell you what I see. Let me tell you with an unbiased view what I'm seeing. Because you can't. Because you're in love, because you have feelings, and people, when they're in love, they're a little bit stupid because it's driven by their insecurities, by their fears. So first IT point, if you want to actually feel better and be more confident, and because I know after a breakup, it's very easy to lose our self-confidence, to have a very low self-esteem. The best way to address this is to work on building secure attachment style. And so the way you have to do it is, as I said, is about self-awareness. It's about also communication. So perhaps you're in no contact, perhaps you have no way to communicate with your ex. The communication could also be with other people, with a therapist. It's about testing. You have to learn a new language. And so the self-awareness element is very helpful. So what we do in therapy is we do relationship inventory, we do internal working model. We also use what I call the secret door, which is psychodynamic psychology tools to help you sort of be more aware when you're about to be triggered. And in a way, doing that every single day. So it's kind of a workout of the mind to habituate yourself to shift from an automatic response, from an instinctive response, which is usually unconscious, which is usually something that are sort of coming from insecurities, to something more rational, something that actually helps you, right? In a way, if you had to summarize it, is how you can shift your response from that little child who didn't have the support, the love, the affection that he or she needed, to a mature response to, hold on, I'm self-sufficient. I know the tools, I know psychology, I have the ability to understand, to be empathetic, and to change my response based on the situation. And when you do that, trust me, it's kind of looking at the story from a bird's eye view. Rather than being like focused and really have a narrow view on the situation and only be attached to some aspects of the relationship, you can have a bird's eye view looking at, hold on, in the grand scheme of things, what do I want? Is it going in the right direction? Who am I in this relationship? How am I treated, etc., etc. So building a secure attachment style is fundamental. Will build up your confidence. There's an element as well that I see with my clients. When you develop a secure attachment style, and I will ask you this question actually, the key questions you need to ask yourself, sorry, is whether you are repeating the same patterns, whether you're attracted to the same people, whether you end up being the same relationships again and again and again. Actually, I want to let me know in the comment section if you find yourself, because I think for me, if I look at my clients, there are two distinctive groups of people who are repeating the same pattern again and again and again and again. So this needs to stop, obviously. And I have another group of people who have been, for example, married in a secure relationship. They divorced. They didn't necessarily suffer from the divorce, but they are in a relationship with someone who's insecure, avoidant, or anxious, and that's new to them. And they don't know what to do, and they have no clue what to do because it's a new world in a way. And I think learning about attachment style, learning how you need to adapt your communication can really help you. I'm going to take a few questions before I move on to the next part. I see that there's a lot of comments. Hi, everyone. Oh, amazing. What's your story, Clixie? Did your partner wife get to see your own DA? Yeah. So I'm not going to talk too much about me. I usually do disclose more personal stuff when I do my private Zoom calls. But when you're dismissive avoidant or when you're anxious, this trait of character, in a way, you always have it. The point is to learn the tools to be more self-aware and to have the ability to overcome those automatic mechanisms, those impulses, right? We are better than our impulses. And so it comes with maturity, with time. For me, and for most of my cases, when you have a significant relationship and you are in your 30s or older than your 30s, and you want to build something with your partner, and it's exactly the same story I was describing with the person I met last Friday. You confront yourself to a situation where you always end up in a dead end. You want to be in a relationship because everybody, that's our, primary need, to be in a relationship, to connect with someone, to have intimacy, to share things together. So you want this, but at the same time, as soon as it develops, you pull away. You're scared. And so at some stage, and I think that's very important for you to know as well, if this person is mature enough, if this person, I'm going to detail towards the end, what you need to assess in your partners, in your ex's approach, to know whether you're wasting your time or not. Because I don't want you to waste your time. I think there's also an element of, it's good to be self-aware, it's good to be empathetic, but it's also good to know when to pull the plug. There's also this element of, you're in a situation, ask yourself if someone secure will still cling to this relationship, who would still accept that situation. So it's very important as well to build that element of security, right? Because sometimes, and I tell my clients, I know my website is called igetmyexback.com, but when it's not the right decision to get an ex back, I don't tell them, but they figure out quickly that that person is not the right person, because someone amazing is not necessarily an amazing partner. Because you can have an amazing complicity, spend amazing time together. But the other day I was telling if it's just like tiny spots, your relationship is tiny spots, and you don't know whether there's a structure, whether there's a line, whether there's just like spot, like, and you don't know exactly how to define your relationship, what to expect, and you're always unsure, you're always uncertain, that's not working for you, right? So there's an element of being self-aware that actually I'm not anxious anymore. I don't need someone's validation. I don't need to connect with someone because I feel lonely or empty if I'm single. And I don't want to be like in this relationship where it's just like a few spots every now and then. I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be in 1 month, in 2 months. Maybe he's gonna show something. It's about consistency. Okay. Let me take some questions. Sorry. How and when? Let me show this. I do this. How and when do I talk about my feelings, making sure I don't scare away the person I've been dating? It's an excellent question. Obviously, communication is key. There's this say that communication is the first reason people break up. I would, and in the book that I'm writing is more about like communication is important, but it's more about empathy. And again, it's about self-awareness. It's about understanding. And so what you have to do is understand, because the thing is what people don't understand is the way we communicate. So there's the words, but also the way we communicate. If it's coming from a place of fear, if it's coming from a place of judgment, from confrontation, when you're dealing with an avoidant, you're going to pressure that person. There's also an element of timing. And I know in the context, let me add this. If you broke up with your partner recently and you want to get back with them, and he's avoidant or she's avoidant, talking about your feelings, expressing your needs and your aspiration is too early. When you are in the context of getting back with an avoidant, you have to start where they're comfortable with, which is not a lot. And so you have to start from the ground up. And I see very often people making the mistake of like, I've seen online, then, when you have to, because you have to respect yourself and you have to show that you're strong, etc., you need to tell your partner, we get back together, I don't want to hear from you. The challenge and the problem when you do that is that you put the step a little bit too high, potentially, for an avoidant, because an avoidant, the way it works is how you bring them to a secure place. And the only way for them to bring them to a secure place is not to start by connecting, is not to start by trying to be emotional with them. They don't know. So it's about bringing them to that secure place and then have, use effective communication. In this context, I made a very long answer to a very important question, but the short answer is like how you use what you learn about yourself and about attachment theory, and using effective communication. So there's a lot of how to communicate with someone. Understand as well that, and I think that's also a mistake people make, not when they watch my videos, because then they understand they shouldn't. When you break up with someone and that person is avoidant, the reason they broke up with you is not because they feel that you don't love them. And so showing them your affection with nice words, with buying gifts, won't do anything and will actually make it worse. So it's okay to talk about your feelings. It's also about how you ensure that the expectations, that you make sure that you don't trigger them too much. But it's really about effective communication. I'm going to take another question. I actually saved this question because it's a very what's the best way to get a dismissive avoidance to realize that they are DA so they become self-aware? So this is my mission for next year, is to, because right now I feel that my audience is pretty much people who are more towards being anxious. The problem with avoidance, they're islands. Sometimes they refer island. And so when there's a problem, it's often for them, the construct is like, the world is the problem, I'm fine. Okay, for me, that was my case. If there's a problem, there must be people, because I'm self-reliant. When there's a problem, I can only blame myself. But usually if there's a relationship and it doesn't work, then it's that person who is too emotional, who wants too much, who's too needy, etc. And so, yes, there's this element with avoidance. They don't know. Now, it doesn't mean that you're avoidant, that you don't want to improve, that you don't want to become a better version of yourself. I'm, for example, because of my work, but also that's what I'm into, I'm really into personal development. I'm really about psychology. I want to know how I can become a better person and therefore a better partner. So what I found is that people who have an avoidant attachment style, at some stage, as I said, they will end up in a dead end. And they will start to realize, like, hold on, there's something wrong. So I'm working on something, a website for people that I could refer to people, where I'll share a bit my stories and also how it works to be avoidant and what it means. Now, the challenge if you're trying to get back with someone avoidant, or even if you're already dating someone avoidant, it's a very, very, it's not sensitive, but it's very difficult to bring up that topic with someone because they might feel judged. You're not a therapist. Who are you to tell me who am I? I don't fit in boxes, etc., etc. So it's very much indirect ways. So buy the book attached and leave it on your bedside table, for instance. It's about, I would start this by talking about you, about your discovery. Oh, I've learned about attachment theory and I feel I'm a bit anxious. So that's why when we do this, when you're away and you don't text me, that triggers me. And so when you start, and it's linking back to the conversation about communication, when you start about talking about yourself, about how you see things, about how you're hurt or you potentially feel in a certain way, negatively or positively. If that person loves you, if that person cares about you, they'll listen. They'll want to understand. Now, if the person you're dating or the person you're trying to get back with is not interested in that kind of story, doesn't want to know why you feel a certain way, doesn't want to, or is not interested in learning about your psychology, you're wasting your time. So it's very important, and it's regardless whether you're avoidant or anxious, it's important to be with someone who's interested in you. It's important to be with someone who is willing to invest in learning, because long-term relationships are hard. And the resilience of a relationship, the strength of a relationship, is only based on how well you can function as a team and how well you can solve problems together. And so if you're in that contact with someone who has kind of a fixed mindset when it comes to relationship, it's the way it is. I've been like this for all my life. You take it or you leave it, and then you leave. You should leave. Because that person wouldn't be resilient when there's another problem, when there's another trigger, right? Because life is unpredictable. Things will happen to you, negative, positive, but the way we measure the strength of a relationship is about how we handle the lows, not the high. And so remember, if you're dating someone avoidant, if you're trying to get back with an ex, sometimes we filter out the negative stuff and we keep only the good ones. Don't measure your relationship on only the happy moments. Measure it. It's very important. So keep it. Maybe I should do a short on this. Measure the strength of your relationship on the lows. Where was this person when I was sad? Where was this person when I lost my mom? Where was this person when I got fired? When was this person when I needed help? That's the person you need to find. I don't care about the trip that you had, the amazing weekend, the getaway weekend, the sex, whatever. It doesn't count. What counts is how that person shows up when you need it, when you're distressed. Your relationship, a relationship, is a team. And so in that context, don't try to be with someone who's like you, because it won't work. And this is why avoidant dates anxious and anxious dates avoidant. And even if they are secure, you will have always a tendency on the spectrum. Because we are teammates. Because the avoidant wants someone who can help them to be more emotional. And because anxious people want someone who can teach them how to be more self-reliant and independent. And so it's about being that teammate and being aware for this problem in this context. The avoidant will be better. In this context, for this problem, the anxious will be better. And so it's about understanding that, how you can be a team. So again, very long question, very long answer for a short question. It's very tricky, and I will start with talking about your journey. I'm going to take another question, and then I will, will a DA come back when you have kids together? Having kids together, in a way, it's not a criteria, but it's not necessarily linked to their decision making in a way. Obviously, when you have kids together, there's already commitment. So it's about potentially his perception of the relationship right now, his perception of the future, also about the decision of having kids, for example, whether it's something that he felt pressured to have, whether I was happy and on board. I have a lot of clients, avoidant, anxious, whichever, who also, when there's a life crisis, a midlife crisis, an event, and they feel like, I've changed, and therefore I need to change. I need to change partner because I feel that this partner is my old life, and I don't want this life. I reject this. And so sometimes they would have a tendency to feel like, I want to do this now. I want to look this way, and this relationship, this family, or this setting is not what I want. And obviously with kids, there's a lot of opportunities to fight, a lot of opportunities to disagree. Again, it's about how you understand how you can function as a teammate, because but I think the kids element, I can't say whether you are more likely or not when you have kids. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like this. Will an avoidant come back if you walked away and stopped chasing? Yes, that's the whole point. So now the tricky part is to know whether they left because they were triggered or because they left because they don't have feelings for you anymore. And I don't know. But it's true that it kind of looks the same. If you're dating someone avoidant, or you broke up with someone avoidant, you need to go into contact at some stage. How long? I wish there was a rule. I know some other coaches have rules. What I say is that in any case, if you've been in a relationship for more than a year, less than 30 days, it's peanuts. It's nothing. If people are mad at you, if people are angry at you, waiting, not speaking with them for 2 weeks, it's not going to change fundamentally the dynamic. So we'll wait for anyway, 1-2 months, depending on the relationship, depending on the dynamic. Then, as you know, I'm a believer that sometimes it's good to break the contact, because you might be in a situation where you still cling to the relationship, where you still have hopes, you still entertain ideas, and you don't know, right? And you want to know. So if you wait 1, 2, 3, 4 months and you reach out, they won't feel the pressure anymore if you communicate properly. And again, we're back to communication, we're back to effective communication, we're back about how you respect boundaries. So yes, you have to. Will it work all the time? No, because sometimes people break up because they don't have feelings, or they met someone else when they were in a relationship. My work, and I don't know if some other people will say that they do that, but I don't get people to fall in love. I don't know how to do it. I'm not a seduction coach, and I don't think it works anyway, because I'm here for the long-term stuff. To my clients, there's always an element of love. And so remember that if that person is avoidant and felt pressured, he still loves you. And if you were there at the beginning of the live, same story of the guy I met last Friday. He still really wants to see her. He's dying to see her. He has feelings for her. He really enjoyed the moment they have together. And he wants more of that. So it's just, managing this conflict of, I want to be with her, I want to be with him, but there's something preventing me from doing so. I saw all your questions. What I'm going to do, because I will read all your questions, get back to you. I'm going to try to get another one. What I wanted to say is that with the element of self-awareness, the element of communication, the element of establishing boundaries, and so on and so forth. I put together a quiz. It's not a quiz. I'm so used to saying quiz. I put together a guide completely free that you can download in the description, where you can have basically all the details on how my methodology to help people develop a secure attachment style. This guide is also this kind of a handbook of a program that I will be launching in January. The idea, I'm so comfortable sharing this guide, and the reason I think and not having people to pay for the guide is because the same way watching a video helps you learn something new. I know, because I've been in your shoes before I went through therapy, it's very hard to take actions. It's very hard to be in the movement, especially after a breakup, when it's very hard, when you're not motivated. It's actually, I'm grateful that you showed up. So in a way, you're part of the maybe only few who are willing to make a significant change. And if you want to learn more, get the guide, read it, try to do the exercise. If you want more engagement, if you want to also meet people, like-minded people, if you want to ask me questions directly, you can register to the program that I will launch in January, where we will look at this guide. We will sort of have workshops, interactive workshops. So not on YouTube, interactive workshops on Zoom, where you can ask all your questions in a private and confidential setting. It will be obviously limited to few people, because otherwise it's going to be messy. So if you want, download the guide. If you have any questions, get back to me by email, message, comment this video. If you want more, again, it's really about the pyramid of learning. My YouTube channel is here. The guide gives you a little bit more depth into how you can up your game and get you more confident, gain more awareness. Again, as I said before, developing a secure attachment style is in a way working out a muscle. And so, unfortunately, it's not by reading something that you're going to be an expert to it. It's about practicing it. And like anything in life, it's freaking hard to do it on your own. So having that sort of structure where you know that every week, once a week, you have 1 hour and a half focusing on that. I would also suggest people who want to do the program and want to join the program to stop watching any content about attachment, even my videos, anything on YouTube, and only focus on that for 1 month. You do like a YouTube cleanse. You only consume things that helps you move in the right direction. I know that my content, when it's promoted on your feed, it's disorganized, it's going everywhere, and you sort of shop a little bit. I see this nice title, and I'm interested in that. But then the problem is that I know, because I consume some of those content sometimes, where's the structure? And so, for example, for me, I always get the courses. I always get the thing where I want the structure. I want the path from A to Z. Okay. So if that's what you want to have a look, there's a link to book, to register to the program. There's an early bird discount if you sign up before Friday. And as I said, I will read all the questions that you left me here, and I will get back to you by email with all the questions and all the answers, as well as any information on the program. If you have any other questions and you're in my mailing list, come back to my email, reply to the email, and I will see you next time. I'll try to do another live before I go on holidays. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to do another live, and I will see you. Let's try to do a live before Friday. Have a good evening, good day. Bye-bye. I'm going to bed.